Today on the Body Love Revolution, building a better relationship with your body, I am thrilled to welcome Belinda Stark. Belinda is a certified alcohol and midlife empowerment coach who specializes in helping women transform their relationship with alcohol and navigate the unique challenges of midlife. Through her coaching, her Embrace Midlife podcast, and her powerful writing featured in outlets like Mamma Mia and Take 5, Belinda is a guiding light for women seeking clarity, confidence, and purpose. In this conversation, we're diving deep into how mindful drinking, self-discovery, and empowerment can reshape not just our habits, but also our self-image and overall well-being. Welcome, Belinda.
Thank you, Emma, and thank you for that beautiful introduction and having me.
Oh, I'm delighted you're here. And we've had many conversations. We often talk about the correlation around our body image and our relationship with alcohol and our relationship with self. So I'd like to ask you, how does our relationship with alcohol impact why we see ourselves and our bodies, especially in midlife? So how do you feel, and even from your own perspective, because I love your story and the journey that you've been on, but how does your relationship with alcohol impact the way we see ourselves and our body image and our self-image?
Yeah, great question, Emma. Well, alcohol is a depressant. So if you imbibe in alcohol and a bit too much, you are going to feel depressed. Alcohol also gets you puffy. It increases your blood pressure, and you will wake up with shame, self-loathing, negative feelings, and this will impact everything. So you won't wake up feeling fresh, full of energy and ready to roll. And that inner critic really gives you a bad time. And it tells you, well, you did it again. You're fat. Oh, so much because you don't know what you ate last night or you overate. You beat yourself up. So it is definitely a factor with body love. Because of this self-loathing, you're not going to love your body because you're not really loving yourself.
Mm, yeah. And, lots of stories go through, and, I've heard over the time, not that I've ever done any alcohol coaching, but I've worked with women because, like you say, it is the biggest demographic of over drinking, which is interesting in itself. Why is that? I wonder what is underneath that. And obviously I'll speak from my own experience that we have lots of change at this time. We've raised kids, and perhaps, I talk about myself when my children were younger. I never drank. My opinion was, when the kids were younger, if I can't drive a car, I can't look after kids if I've had wine. And now that the kids are older, things shifted when they both got their license. It's almost like you've got this freedom. So I can see going out to dinner and how that can get away with you. Absolutely, I can see that. And then, like you say, you've been, and I'm going to use good and bad language here because this has been past Emma's mindset. I've been good all week, got to class, been to the gym, been good, and then I just blew it. So I understand that whole blow it, which is very much, again, the diet culture. Be good, be good, be good, restrict, deprive, then blow out, and then go on that cycle again and feel horrid about yourself. So it does play into that as well, that inner critic and that shaming yourself, without a doubt. So thinking about women using alcohol to cope with stress. So like I just said, like what, if we think about like what's under that. So many women using alcohol to cope with stress, self-doubt, and body insecurities. What are some healthier alternatives that truly support self-confidence and not spiraling into that cycle of being good all week, then getting to the weekend, blowing out, and then back on that cycle again? Is there any healthier ways in your coaching and in your program? What does that look like for women? How could they start to look at a different way?
One of the differences in my program and my coaching is you don't have to be abstinent. You don't have to go cold turkey. And that is because for me, when I was looking around over 2 years ago now and addressed my over drinking, There wasn't anything like that. It was you have to stop. You have to. And like you just said, when you do stop and be good all week, you're setting yourself up to self-sabotage and to binge. So that's one thing for women that are sober curious is perhaps just try slowly to peter it out. The other thing is because it's called sober curious, get curious, experiment. I have a couple, well, yeah, I've had a few clients now because it's not about willpower, it's about mindset. And I've said to them, so let's, particularly in the early days, let's replace that 5 o'clock, pour the wine, drink with something else. And they said, oh, well, I suppose I can do the washing. I suppose I could clean a cupboard. And I'm like, no, this is time to do something that you enjoy, that you like, that makes you feel good. And sadly, and I would have been in this category, they say, well, I don't know anything else because I just come home and drink and that's what I do and that's what I love. So just get curious. You won't know what you enjoy until you start trying things. You could go for a little walk. You could go, like with the money you save, even if it's from that one bottle of wine, you could go and get a quick little manicure. You could go and, I don't know, do a one-off yoga class or walk on the beach or listen to some groovy music. YouTube has so many things for free that you can try, but just try and just experiment and know that there's always alcohol there. So
Mm.
it's not going anywhere. Let's just do some tiny little healthy steps to find out about us, to love ourselves, and give ourselves things that are healthier options. So I created a bank account called Sober Savings. So I was a very big drinker, up to 2 bottles of wine a night. And so by the end of 7 days, I think I had $250 in the bank. Well, hey, there's a really nice massage, body scrub, and probably with a little bit of change, so you can buy a book. Try reading again because you're not, you know, you're sober. You can actually read a book and concentrate. There's so many things, but my advice is just get curious, experiment, just try.
Even you're saying that, I was thinking, the word hobby. It's like that women saying, well, I don't know anything else. I'm
Mm,
not sure what I like because for so long alcohol has been the
mm,
numb out and filled time. So thinking about even the word boredom, if I
mm,
wasn't to drink, I'd be bored, which I'm sure that we hear this. Well, I'll be
mm,
honest, I have heard this before that I'll be
mm,
bored. What do I do with myself? So then there's the work is to actually find out what you do like and getting to know yourself again. Like if I were to have a hobby, what would it be if I were to, and even if we think about a time thing, what is the biggest thing that we hear the most? Well, I'm going to say that I've even said come out of my own mouth. I don't have the time
mhm,
would be something that I would potentially use, pull out. But when you really think about it, the time that you're sitting around perhaps drinking, let's say, like if that example that you gave, you get home from work, let's say, or you get home and at
mhm,
5 o'clock you pour that wine and you kind of have a little bit of downtime maybe before you start dinner. But even that is a great way to look at it going with that time slot. Let's say that half an hour, 45 minutes before I start dinner or whatever the evening routine is. What could I do? And that's the work to explore what
mm,
would I like to learn or what would I like to,
mm,
even the book reading thing.
mm,
Would I like to read a book? Could I give myself a 30-minute reading time? And like you
mm.
say, because I've been drinking, you're not going to have to read the same chapter 10
Yeah.
times
Like
because
the
you
same TV show. I couldn't remember anything from the TV show. You could have a better chat with your husband because you're not tipsy. Another thing that I should point out too, the fabulous range of zero alcohol drinks now, and it is an industry that continues to grow. So you can have zero wine. There's some nice zero bubblies there. They were my two go-tos, both when I was drinking and when I started not drinking, but the zero ones obviously. But there's lots, and they're all in the supermarket, and it's that ritual of
yeah.
pouring that drink and having it as you cook dinner.
Yeah.
There's so many options. And once you start just experimenting, it isn't as hard as you think. And you're right about the boredom, because a lot of women drink because they're bored. But
Mm.
that ain't going to help. You're
No.
still going to be bored and stuck. And it's just that cycle.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I like to say only boring people get bored.
Yeah.
So our work is to find that hobby, to find that thing that what lights you up. And it's not easy. Like for
No.
women listening right now, probably going to go, oh my God, that's so irritating. I don't know what I like. I understand that.
Mm.
But that is our work. What is it? And I love to think about what you used to do when you were a kid or younger.
Yes.
What is that? What is that? And I've often heard people too say it's good to keep your hands busy. So maybe it is something
Mm.
where your hands are busy.
Definitely.
And the ritual of pouring that non-alcohol drink might be just enough of a bridge while you're doing the hobby. So you still feel like you're doing your drink. It's just zero alcohol, but your hands are busy. What
Mm.
would that be?
Mm. And
Mm.
there's other things. If you say you do it to relax, why can't you burn some lavender? I've just purchased in America some tinctures called Apothecary, and one's called Wind Down. So I look forward to trying them. They've got great reviews. I'm not sponsored or anything. And put little drops in a glass. It looks like a glass of rosé, and it actually has plant-based relaxants in it. So that industry is definitely growing too. So you really don't have any excuses to try something. And then as you do that, you'll get to know yourself more, and you'll think, oh, I will try that. Or like you said, as a little kid, I loved dancing. Now I just I put Spotify on loud in the shower and have a boogie. This morning on the way to the gym, I was singing my little heart out to Let's Go. It's finding those things when you're a kid and revisiting you as a childhood. I realized I loved writing, and that just went to poo. And obviously you're busy with family and work, etc. But just even a couple of lines. I've got diaries since grade 6 right up to year 12. So I obviously love writing, and it's come back to me. So yeah, it's just get that boredom mindset. Let's just flip it around gently and just try. And it is work, but what beautiful work.
Yes.
Not work in
Yeah.
the sense of doing the washing or doing, those
Yeah.
documents or whatever. It's exciting, enjoyable, experimental work.
Yeah. Well, it's for no reason other than joy.
Exactly.
It's just for the pure joy. And you can still have a project, a creative project, but
Mm.
it's the pure joy. But I also acknowledge that sometimes it's not boredom, it's anxiety and
Yes.
anxiousness, which is very real for midlife women, particularly perimenopause,
Mm.
menopause,
Mm.
that anxiety and that brain turning that off can be a real challenge sometimes. And I understand that that's when people still, or women still, and even men in this case, reach for alcohol to try and
Mm.
dial that down, particularly if you've got a bit of a pressure cooker
Yeah.
uh, business or work.
Yeah.
That can sometimes be a real tricky one in a lot of ways, I
Mm.
feel. So when
Mm.
it comes to something a little bit deeper like that, Belinda, like it's the anxiety,
Mm.
is there any little words of wisdom or some pearls that might help someone who's listening that goes, well, that's all good and well to say, well, just get a hobby and be joyful and read a book. But I am so tightly wound up
Mm.
that the only thing that can turn my brain off is a glass of wine.
Well, science, biology, you might think it will do that, which it will for say 20 minutes, and then you might be looking for the next one to keep that numb happening. But the more you drink, the more anxious you will get.
Yes.
So, okay, it might initially get rid of that anxiety, take the edge off, get you numb. But 3 a.m. in the morning, you're awake, the anxiety is back, and it's back bigger, baby. What did I do? Oh God, I've got this, I've got that. Oh, did I say this? Did I say that? As I said, it's a scientific fact that alcohol causes anxiety. So I know it's hard, but if you can just try to understand that it's a truth, you can't you can't say it, oh, well, it does, it's not true, because it is.
Yeah.
So in answer to your question, ask yourself, well, what could I do? Can I just distract myself? Can I try, like I said, these tinctures? Can I try with burning the leather? What can I try? And it's going to be hard work. It will be hard work.
Yeah.
But keep reminding yourself, well, I will feel better in the morning. That anxiety, if you drink, you aren't fixing anything. You are making that anxiety worse, but
Yeah.
it's facing that truth.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's a process, I would imagine.
Mm,
So for women who are listening to us and going, "Oh my goodness, that sounds all good and well for you, Emma and Belinda, that you're
yeah.
just saying, well, it just makes my anxiety worse." I know that. I guess it's that compassionate heart, having compassion for yourself. And I think the sober curious is a great way to look at it. You're not always going to get it right, but it's being really softly, gently with
Mm.
yourself. And if you do have a sober night, commend yourself.
Oh, 100%. Not even a sober night. Okay, you want to drink, well, have one, but just have one.
Mm, yeah,
Again, it's that for me, I was never going to stop drinking forever. And I still don't say that, because it's, well, one day I might, one day I might not. Who knows? Who cares?
mm,
I was doing 6 months.
yeah,
So, but as I said earlier, you don't have to completely give it up, but let's be mindful drinking, informed decisions, and let's just peter it out a bit, or have that one night where you only have one glass. Buy the low alcohol, low or no, they call it. There's a low or no. So some low alcohol. Set yourself. One client of mine, she only wants to drink 3 times a week, have the one bottle and peter that out. Fine, do that. Any little change, any little step towards cutting back is a great step.
mm. And when you said that, even that example of one bottle over the
Mm,
3 nights or the week, it's taking your power back. Because
mm,
how
mm,
quickly that can be the opposite way, where it has power over you.
mm,
That
mm,
is
mm.
that is a
You're
nice,
you're you're making that decision, informed
yeah,
and mindful. And I should also point out, with us being the biggest demographic, and that it it's because we've got so much going on.
yeah,
And we do. I know when you have little kids or this or that, but the Australian Bureau of Statistics, the most recent data is that 44 to 65, in fact, 44 to 54, 26.9% overdrink, goes up by 0.5% by 0.5% in women aged 55 to 64. So that shows to me that we have a lot going on, and we need to talk about it. We need
yeah,
to, and also it's because of menopause. And like you
yeah,
mentioned earlier about peri, there's so much going
yeah.
on. But just be aware, this will feed your menopause. This will feed your peri.
Mm. Yeah, so that's my aim here with our conversation, is to perhaps just raise awareness and have a conversation about it. And it's certainly not to say that anyone is wrong. It's just
Mm,
that
mm,
raising awareness and
yeah,
just looking at your own habits and your own reasons why, and questioning it,
yeah.
just questioning it, because that's what a habit is. Sometimes we roll into different habits, and it's worth looking at it and thinking, how could I do this differently?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just get curious. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just
So, what are some common myths about sobriety and mindful drinking that hold women back from making empowered choices for their well-being?
I think we've mentioned it, like bored. They're scared they'll be bored. I
Mm,
was scared I'd be bored. I was scared I couldn't do it. And I loved it too much.
yeah,
So I think bored is the biggest myth, because as you get a bit stronger, and as I said, I'm not preachy teachy. If you want to drink, drink, but just try to do it mindfully. But you won't be bored as you find things out about yourself and what you enjoy. I think too, the myth about it's all about willpower, it isn't. And you can relate this back to food, you can relate this back to anything, because we might have the best intentions in the morning that we aren't going to drink, and it's in your head and using all this energy right through the day. And by the end of the day, you've run out of that willpower energy and you go for it. You have, you I don't want to say blow it, but you do have that drink because that was you just relied on this willpower, and willpower doesn't last.
No, no.
So that's a very common myth. I would say those two are the biggest, that you'll be bored, and you might be to start with. That's where you get curious and you try some different things.
Yeah.
And willpower. They would be the two biggies.
And you alluded to this before in your recent article in Mamma Mia.
Oh,
Alluded to
we're going to
this.
talk about that.
We're going to talk about that because that was a great article. So you mentioned very briefly before. So when you come home and let's say you choose not to have a glass of wine and relationships, you can have a nice chat with your husband. Belinda, can you share with us your recent article in Mamma Mia? And the title was very captivating. Can you share about it?
Yeah. Well, it's all about sex and sober sex. And sober sex is a thing. And you might be going, oh, sex with the husband, which is totally normal. And also in menopause, we're not really feeling it, are we? But because you are present, and the biggest sex organ for a woman is her brain, you can get more turned on. You can get, like, I'm not saying, instead of wine, hubby walks in, you put your legs in the air. No, well, if that's your vibe, if that's going to get you through, good on you. But I feel that, your brain is your biggest sex organ. You've got your wits about you. You're not numb. You can enjoy it.
It's connection. It's beautiful
it doesn't have
intimacy and connection.
I don't mean this toe curling, amazing orgasm. Maybe you will, but just to have that connection, a cuddle, a kiss, be touched, that's all part of it too. And although I didn't talk about it in the article or write about it in the article, it's also about, having sex with yourself. You can have a much more enjoyable orgasm when you're sober and you have some intimate time for yourself.
Yeah. It's living an orgasmic life, literally on the inside and outside and in your relationship. And I think it's a beautiful thing. I believe that our relationships are our most number one joy in life. And if being sober curious and drinking less has you more connection with your significant other and more connection with your children and your loved ones, isn't that the biggest gift? Because you are present, you remember those conversations. And I loved that article in Mamma Mia that you did about that, because I agree it is such a beautiful thing. And here's the thing, the kids have left the home. It is a wonderful time for you two to connect and reignite again and find out what you do and don't like. And yes, I mean, perimenopause and menopause is real. And that's why that beautiful connection, it's very different in your early 20s and your 30s and even your early 40s, but then it becomes more of this beautiful intimacy. And what do they say about intimacy? Into me I see, like into you I see.
I love that.
And that's the beauty of this time of life, because there is no rush. The kids aren't coming home, or the kids aren't going to knock, there is that time. So I loved that article, and I think it is a beautiful thing to explore without alcohol and this incredible time in your life. It is something to be nurtured and fostered and explored and expressed. It's a beautiful thing. So for our ladies listening, maybe that's your new hobby. Maybe connection again.
Emma, it's body love.
It is absolutely. Yes, it is. It is getting really in touch with that part of you that loves to connect and loves intimacy.
Yeah, totally. So
buy
a book, buy a vibrator.
Yeah. Whatever.
You could buy a sexy novel, or what's that? 50 Shades of Grey and the vibrator.
Yes. And then your husband walks in and you're like, "Hello, honey."
Make everyone's happy and they're not drunk.
Yes, and everyone remembers it, and it's a beautiful thing.
They're
I
drunk on
love that.
love.
Yeah, yes. So this is the thing I feel that we need to think about, because if we are choosing to stay in our old habits, perhaps, which is the wine, it's taking more than it's giving.
Yes.
Even though it thinks like it's building, it feels like it's filling the void. It feels like as though it is stopping the anxiety, or winding you down, or helping
Mm,
numb out. But let's be honest, if you have a beautiful lovemaking session, that is equally going to push these endorphins and these
mm,
oxytocin and the dopamine and all that beautiful
mm.
nectar through your body far more than a glass of wine.
Yes.
So it is definitely something to explore without a doubt. I think
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing. And I loved that article. So thank
Thanks, Emma.
you. So I also want to ask you, for women ready to redefine their relationship with alcohol and embrace midlife with confidence, what's one powerful shift they can make today?
Oh, today. I hate to sound like a broken record. Take a little bit of time for yourself and reflect and get curious. Just have a little think. Even if you still go home and have your wine, or whatever your goals are, just have a little bit of time to yourself, reflect and think. Self-inquiry,
Mm.
just tiny. But that tiny thing is actually quite a big thing. It's the little things that are the big things, and it will build on things if you do it consistently. And we're in this age of our lives where why don't we love ourselves? You know, we're not going to be here forever. We're in the third phase, you know, the third chapter, whatever we want to say. Let's make it a beautiful one, but a beautiful one with ourselves.
Yeah, I love that. And even you alluded to it before, Belinda, the question even could be today is, if I didn't drink tonight, what
Mm,
else
mm,
could I do? And
mm.
even maybe it is clean out the cupboard. Maybe it is
If you like
something
that,
like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
But maybe it starts with that to
Something.
actually eventually get to a hobby, or eventually get to,
Mm,
actually, I'm going to reconnect with my husband
yeah.
tonight, or whatever,
Yeah.
or significant other, whatever that is. But
Mm,
maybe it does start with just having to keep yourself really busy.
yeah.
And
And
that is, yeah,
that's what I did. Distraction.
yeah.
Yeah. Because
And
that's a habit change, a mindset change is
yeah,
replacing that alcohol with something else, or
yeah,
delaying it. So
or
you don't
delay.
have the whole bottle. You have that glass and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
savor it, you mindfully drink. But yeah, just get reflective and curious about it, and
Mm.
take time for you. It's so important. And as I said, even if you do have that drink, just make that mindful little time for you, and try to do it every day and ask the same questions, and it will grow.
Yeah, I love that. Belinda, I want to say thank you so much for our conversation today. To all the beautiful ladies who have been listening, where can we find you, and what have you got coming up next to support our women who are sober curious?
Yeah, yeah. So I do one-off coaching. So just a one-off if you want a little kickstart or boost or a chat, with 2 weeks of follow-up. I do a 1 month, one goal, change your relationship with alcohol. And I also have a 3 month Lux package. 3 times a year I run Get Your Sober Sparkle, and it runs in line with Fast Feb, Dry July, and October. So at the time of recording this, the next one will be in July. And on the website, so belindastark.com, I have a lot of free resources. On my Instagram, I also offer free resources, information, and yeah, that's how you can find me, at Belinda Stark _ for my Instagram. And I would love to connect and yeah, just share.
Yeah, love that. So, of course, everybody, It'll be all in our emails and our show notes where to find Belinda. But if you are curious and want to start to explore and ask yourself a question, what else could I do this evening apart from having a glass of wine? Hopefully, you've got some ideas here and it sparks just some insight. But Belinda, as always, it's an absolute pleasure, my love. And I'm sure everyone's going to enjoy this and get them thinking. Thank you.
Thanks, Emma. It's been lovely.